In this video, we're going to talk about how to address conflict in your life in a healthy and productive way. This is a very important part of being successful at work and in your personal relationships. It's normal and healthy to have conflict in every relationship. It's how that conflict is then handled that's very important. If it's handled with kindness and understanding, conflict can be constructive and help people to work together towards the best solutions for everyone. But if it's not handled well, it can lead to anger and hurt, which can destroy relationships or even lead to violence. There are many reasons that conflict may arise, including personal differences like values, ethics, personalities, backgrounds, and beliefs, differences in goals or methods on how to accomplish those goals, or poor communication or misunderstandings. So let's first talk about preventing conflict. One way to avoid conflict getting out of hand is by preventing it altogether. This isn't the same as ignoring conflict that already exists. This is behaving and communicating in a way that needless conflict just doesn't come up. To prevent conflict, you can keep these broad behaviors in mind. First, respect differences. Learn to respect and appreciate people's differences. Find the value in different perspectives and backgrounds, and try to understand how someone's different past and upbringing might lead them to a different opinion than yours. Treat others the way that you'd like to be treated. No matter what your opinion of someone is, treat that person in a professional and courteous way, even if you're frustrated. If someone treats you in a way that you don't like, calmly let them know that you don't appreciate their behavior. Don't retaliate inappropriately. Keep negativity to yourself. If you only say negative things all the time, not only will people not want to be around you, but those things are going to get back to the person you've said them about from time to time. If it's not necessary that you let your opinion be known, then keep it to yourself, or only use the correct channels to make complaints that can actually make a difference. You might have to keep a distance from some people. Though it's not always possible, if there's someone you don't get along with, try to only be around them when necessary and maintain appropriate boundaries with them. If you have repeated conflict with someone, remove yourself from opportunities for conflict. Now, let's talk about what to do with conflict when it does come up. Conflict can't and shouldn't always be avoided. However, there are important tools that you can use to handle the conflict that can keep it from turning into an argument or a fight. First, bring up issues before they become problems. And when you do bring up issues, only do it in private with the people who are involved or those who can help mediate. Second, when you're talking about an issue, be specific about the issue and stay on topic. Don't bring up other issues that are unrelated or happened in the past. During a conflict, seek out solutions to the problem at hand so that the issue is resolved or so that steps can actually be created. To do this, you have to stay open to hearing other opinions or experiences. Don't enter the conversation unwilling to hear someone else's side. Listen and respond constructively. Make sure that others know that you're listening and that you understand where they're coming from. Come into the conflict being open to compromise. Try to think of ways that you can meet in the middle with someone you disagree with. Actively work together with that person. Fourth, know yourself and what will make you angry. Figure out ways to avoid becoming angry, and if you feel it happening, practice in advance ways to either walk away or stay calm. Don't stay for a fight. If someone becomes angry, try to agree to come back to the conflict at another time. Sometimes the conflict will not be resolved well because of the person you're in conflict with, or because of the emotions that are coming up. In these cases, try to find other people to help or leave the situation. Finally, be forgiving. Approach conflict assuming that someone else means well, and be forgiving of mistakes that are made. In particular, there are some behaviors that are very common during conflict that can keep you from resolving the problem and can actually make the disagreement worse. It's important to understand these behaviors so that you see them in yourself and put a stop to them, and so that you can see when they're happening with others and use the right tools to try to avoid them and move on to resolving the conflict and having a productive and happy relationship. These 4 behaviors are called in shorthand the 4 horsemen. The first horseman is criticism. Criticizing someone is different than offering a critique or voicing a complaint. The important thing is to learn the difference between expressing a complaint and criticizing. For example, a complaint is, I was scared when you were running late and didn't call me. I thought we'd agreed that we would do that for each other. Now, a criticism is, you never think about how your behavior is affecting other people. I don't believe you're that forgetful. You're just selfish. You never think of others. You never think of me. See the difference? Criticism makes the person you're talking to feel assaulted, rejected, and hurt, and often causes the people to fall into a pattern, which eventually leads to contempt. Instead of criticizing someone, you should make a complaint without blame. Avoid saying you, which can indicate blame, and instead talk about your feelings, using I statements to express what you need in a positive way. For example, I feel scared when you're running late and you don't call, and I would love if you could text or call to let me know. The second horseman is contempt. When we communicate this way, we are truly mean. We treat others with disrespect, mock them with sarcasm, ridicule, call them names, and mimic or use body language like eye-rolling or scoffing. For example, this kind of talk is contemptuous. You're tired? Cry me a river. I've been with the kids all day, running around like mad to keep this house going, and all you do when you come home from work is flop down on that sofa like a child. Instead of acting with contempt like that, we've all seen it, you should try to regularly express appreciation, gratitude, affection, and respect. If you try to have 5 or more positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction that you have to have in a relationship, then you're making regular deposits into your emotional bank account, which keeps your relationships positive. The third horseman is defensiveness, and it's typically a response to the criticism and contempt that we've seen. When we feel unjustly accused, we make excuses for whatever's happened. We get into an argument about who's to blame, or we refuse to listen. Our excuses just tell others that we don't take their concerns seriously and that we won't take responsibility for our mistakes. For example, did you call George and Arlene to let them know that we're not coming tonight like you promised you would? Here's a defensive response. I was too busy today, and you know just how busy my schedule was. Why didn't you just do it? Okay. This person not only responds defensively, but they reverse blame in an attempt to make it the other person's fault. Instead, a non-defensive response can express acceptance of responsibility, admission of fault, and understanding of someone else's perspective. Something like, oh, I forgot. I should have asked you this morning to do it because I knew my day would be packed. That's my fault. Let me call him right now. See? Big difference. Finally, the fourth horseman is stonewalling. Stonewalling occurs when the listener withdraws from the interaction, shuts down, and simply stops responding. If you feel like you're stonewalling during a conflict, stop the discussion and ask to take a break. For example, you could say, all right, I'm feeling too angry to keep talking about this. Can we please take a break and come back to it in a bit? It'll be easier to work through this after I've calmed down. Then, take 20 minutes to do something alone that soothes you, like read a book or a magazine, take a walk, you go for a run, really just do anything that helps to stop feeling flooded with that emotion, and then return to the conversation once you feel ready. Now that you know what the four horsemen are and how to avoid them, you've got the essential tools to manage conflict in a healthy way and avoid these particularly unhealthy behaviors in the future. Now, let's talk about some practical steps for working together to have difficult conversations. 1. Think about the real goal that you have for having a certain conversation. Ask yourself in advance and throughout the conversation, what do I want for myself in this? What do I want for the other people I'm having the conversation with? What do I want for our relationship together? 2. Make others aware of what you'd like to discuss and what your intentions are. Tell them what the conversation is going to be about and what you hope to get out of it. 3, if you can, make a commitment together to seek an agreement. Try to make a shared goal with the person that you're having this difficult conversation with. 4, listen to one another's side of things and ask them about their bigger goals too. Not just what you're talking about, but ask them what they'd like the resolution to be. 5, repeat what you've understood the other person to have said in the conversation. Show that you're being an active listener. 6, ask questions to make sure everyone understands each other's experience. 7, try to identify things that you all agree on as the conversation progresses. Next, brainstorm solutions to the problem together. 9, talk about which solutions might work for everyone involved, and then choose solutions that are best for everyone. You're going to talk about a plan to take action on those solutions, and then finally, make sure to follow through on any agreements or changes in behavior that you've all agreed to. Now finally, let's address how to deal with your own anger when you feel it. Anger is a normal emotion with a wide range, and different people experience it very differently from one another and for different reasons. When focused appropriately, anger can help us to stand up for ourselves or others. But if it's inappropriate or causes inappropriate behaviors, it leads to bigger problems. It's important that you are aware of your own emotions and why you're feeling them. It's also important that you practice self-control. Think about your actions before you take them. If you struggle with anger that tends more towards rage, it might be beneficial for you to take courses specifically for anger management. If you find yourself becoming angry very frequently, you may also benefit from those classes, or you may be experiencing that anger because of other things that are happening in your life or with your health. Speak to a doctor or counselor about your experiences with anger. Here are things that might prevent you from becoming angry as much or as frequently. First, manage your stress. Take steps to deal with stress in life, including personal time, relaxation techniques, exercise, time in nature, and doing activities that you enjoy. Second, be grateful. Practice gratitude by thinking of what is good in life, and good particularly about the situation in which there's conflict. Next, be a problem solver. Identify what's causing anger and try to seek solutions to that specific thing, whatever it might be. Also, communicate effectively. Don't expect the worst of others and jump to conclusions, and make sure that you really understand the situation before you allow yourself to become emotional. You might need to change your environment. Sometimes a change of scene can be the key to avoiding negativity or to breaking old habits. Now, in the moment when you're experiencing anger, you can use breathing practices to calm yourself. Always think about setting a good example and being your best self. Remember that others are always watching, be that your children, someone who looks up to you, or even a prospective boss. Make sure that you're always being a good example and setting yourself up for success. But what about dealing with other people's emotions? When people's emotions are high, they often respond with silence, where they aren't really sharing anymore, or sometimes violent communication, where they're lashing out with insults or accusations in a conversation. If you see either of these, it's important to take time to make that person feel safe. The conversation won't be productive if someone else is feeling bad. Sometimes you need to apologize because you've done something wrong before or during the conversation. Sometimes you need to share your real goals. If they know where you're really coming from, they might feel better about the conversation. Sometimes you need to really listen. Make them feel heard by asking them questions and responding by telling them what you've heard. Sometimes, though, you need to walk away. If someone's really upset, you might need to protect yourself and the relationship by leaving the conversation. Thinking through all that we've talked about will help you to have healthier and better relationships with the people in your life. And start to practice these tips regularly. With practice, they'll become the natural way that you communicate, and you will be on the path to healthy relationships at work and at home.